to Take Me With You, episode 21. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Cheryl. We are two well-traveled people who want to go everywhere.
But that's just not going to happen. So instead, we'll travel vicariously by inviting a guest to share their unique travel stories with us.
Today, it's just us.
Just us? No one wanted to talk to us, Cheryl?
No one wanted to talk to us.
Wah, wah.
Yep, we ran out of friends, apparently. So it's just us today.
That didn't take very long.
Yeah, we had 20 friends. They're all gone now.
No, the timing just didn't work out well. We have more people, and we will continue. But we're just going to do a special little something different this time around.
Yeah, so we're going to play a little game today. A little storytelling game.
A little travel storytelling game.
Yes, specifically. This is still on theme, don't worry.
Oh, yes. And neither Cheryl nor I, neither of us have actually played this game before.
And neither of us have heard of this game before.
We may have made this game up.
Yes.
But it sounds like it'll be fun.
I think it will. Pretty much, you thought this idea would be fun. And then I was thinking a similar, like, how do we do something where we just tell a few little travel stories that we have? And so here we are. So get your thinking cap on because we need to use our best memories for this.
Yes, which we'll see how. I feel like that's an area that you are stronger than I am in. So we'll have to see how this goes.
But this is not competing against each other. This is competing against the clock? Or
against ourselves.
Oh, so if we play it again, we can beat our past selves?
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Sure. Or maybe we're just all winners.
And when you travel, you're all winners.
Not always. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are calling this game Train of Thought.
Yes.
So one of us is going to start with a travel memory of some kind from some travel that we've done. And then we'll tell that little memory. And then the other one needs to build on that memory with the travel experience they have had. And we will go back and forth as many times as we can. And we have no idea how many times we will be able to do this.
Yes.
But we're hoping many.
We're not going to go indefinitely.
No, definitely not.
This episode will end at some point.
Yes, because we will need to go to bed.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So that sounds good. And
so who would like to start with a travel memory?
Okay. I have one.
Okay.
I'm already feeling doubtful of if my stories are going to be interesting at all, but we do have a travel podcast, so I guess we feel like there's some form of interest in our
Yeah.
No, the whole point of this podcast was that other people have interesting travel stories.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Here we go. Okay, so I have a story from a time that I was in Morocco.
Ooh.
And I was with a small group of people. There were 11 of us. We were from a church that I was going to in Southern California. And we were teaching at this little American Academy over there, doing some like summer school classes and stuff like that. And over the weekend, so we were in Casablanca. Over the weekend, we got to go to Fez, which is
a town, not a hat.
Correct.
Okay.
Do I remember if the hat is related to the town? No, I don't remember. Thanks for asking.
Okay.
And so we had been instructed a lot to not really mention like that we were from a church or really even call attention to the fact that we were a group of Americans or anything like that. And so we were even careful with like the emails we were sending and all sorts of things. We were just trying to be really careful. And so we went to Fez over the weekend, and Fez has this famous arch at the like entrance to their like market area that is copied in Epcot in Disney World. It's so beautiful, and it has all this like tile work on it. It's really pretty. And so we're in the marketplace in Fez, and I mean, it really felt like stepping back in time where like there were like animal heads on display and donkeys with diapers and all sorts of weird things and everything. And it was so it's less messy that way. You should appreciate that. Don't frown at me.
I'm just donkeys with diapers. I mean, that's a good alliteration.
Donkeys with diapers. Donkeys with diapers. That's all. Is that like an expression we can say now, or
if you would like to?
Exclamation, I guess would be a better word.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're looking at these cool little like leather coin purses, and there was this older woman in our group that was just the cutest, and very loudly to her husband, she goes, "These would be great for your Bible study, guys." She's like, the ones from the church group. And just going off about the Bible study guys so loudly. And I just was like, stop. And also, like, just don't be the American that's, like, yelling across.
Yeah.
And all of it was just, like, really something. And, just, so that was a special little moment of just being like, stop. But how do I tell her to stop without drawing more attention to everything? And so, yeah, that's my little embarrassment in Morocco story.
Okay. So the way you ended that reminded me of an experience that I had in one of my first international trips. I honestly don't remember if we were either in Ecuador or in the Dominican Republic. And I don't remember which, and I'm so sorry, but I was in high school, and that was a scary amount of time ago now. So, but I went with a theater group that I was a part of in high school, and we had just finished a performance. I don't know. I might be merging two memories. I'm not sure. But I remember we were walking down a hill, and we're out in the middle of the countryside. I'm pretty sure this was in Ecuador, because we were out, which, by the way, hills outside of Quito in Ecuador are beautiful.
Really?
Oh my gosh, just like rolling green hills, and yeah, it was gorgeous. But we're like walking down I think it was paved road, but it might have just been like a dirt road, I'm not sure. And then a car is coming down, and we're like in the middle of the road because there's like nobody out here. We're in rural Ecuador, right? So there's not a lot of people. And several people started yelling, car, right? So like to get off, to move to the side of the road.
Oh, uh-huh.
And after that, and I don't remember who, someone was like, "Hey guys, you don't need to be like the loud Americans, just like yelling everywhere you go." And I don't remember if it was somebody on our team or if it was one of the locals and the missionaries that we were with or what it was. But I remember having that was a very distinct moment of like, oh, as Americans, we're loud, because that would be normal for us in the States. Just kind of yell, "Hey, get out of the way," blah, 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 whatever. But it was not culturally a normal thing to do where we were. So
interesting.
Yeah. So that's I definitely remember that.
Moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is also kind of a cultural sensitivity story that I was reminded about when I was in 7th grade. So we're just going down in age.
We're just going to keep getting younger. All right. Great.
So let's add on that awkwardness, shall we? I went to Japan. It was called an exchange student program. However, I feel like most exchange student programs are like one school year long. Is that more normal? This was a week and a half. So this was like a trip, but it was called an exchange student program. We went and like got to stay with a host student and a host family and go to school with them. Although I feel like we hardly actually went to school during that time. But that was more fun that way. We were like at the school sometimes. And so it was really interesting because so you had to be like selected to go, or you had to apply to go. And then, so I like had to fill out an application, and they just picked 10 students from our school who got to go. And it was on our spring break. And so the whole school year after our team was selected, every Monday afternoon, we had these like training classes for it and everything. So like we learned some phrases and some things about the culture, which was super cool. You know, like I think that really did add to that experience and stuff. And it was really funny because there were things that was like, well, in the culture, this is how they bathe, or this is, you know, like how they eat, or, you know, like all these different things where it was like, this is how to be a part of this culture. and kind of blend in with what they're doing. Or like gift giving is an incredibly important thing. Like you visit and you have a gift for everybody, and they sent me home with like a suitcase full of gifts for me and everyone in my family, and there's just a lot of gift giving. And so we learned all those things, and then combined with like we rewrote, or my teacher who led the trip rewrote the lyrics to YMCA.
What?
To make it BIWA, because the city we stayed in was Biwa, Japan. And we performed it in front of their whole school.
Oh, jeez.
And so, like, it was something now where, like, I look back on that. Well, there were 3 songs. We had to perform 3 songs in front of their whole school. We're not a choir. This was not a choir trip. I don't know. And I don't know who it was for. Like, is that a respectful thing? No. I know it was for the school. Who was that for? Like, like, was that a
was for your group
thing to them? Like, was that like, it's so nice of us to rewrite YMCA about our trip to their town? Or like, we also learned Sakura and like sang that song. So that was like probably a nicer thing to do. I mean, once again, we were not a choir. I need to emphasize. Like, I don't know if it was a joy to hear us sing or anything. We're a bunch of 7th and 8th graders. But so we sang Sakura. We sang, was it more than 3 songs? Oh, was it more than 3 songs? And then we sang a song about their sumo wrestlers.
Oh.
That I don't think we wrote, but we it was like Yokuza Grand Champion, like, and so we like printed.
Wait, and you sang it in English.
Yes, that was in English.
Okay.
The Sakura song was half in English and half in Japanese, but the Yokozuna song about their sumo wrestlers, we had these like laminated posters like of some of their famous sumo wrestlers, like had it above our heads, and then some of the guys from the group like mimed sumo wrestling.
That's awesome.
And then let's see if I remember any of the lyrics. Let's see. Young man, there's a place you can go. I said, young man, they say arigato. There's a school there. It's in Biwa, Japan. And you, something, and like, it's fun to stay at BIWA. Like, did they think that was nice?
Maybe.
Or, like, did they think it was cool that we were imitating their sumo wrestling famous
Okay, but when you're saying they, do you mean the other students or do you mean the adults? Because there could have been a very different perspective.
That's a good point. Because I look back on that and I'm like, that sounds offensive to me.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. Like, if I picture a group from another country coming and, like, talking, like, imitating American things, I'd think, like, oh, they're making fun of us. That's funny. But, like, or that's not funny.
Depending on what they do, sure.
Yeah. So, like, and then were they thinking, oh, this is what Americans like to do?
Well, it's not wrong.
I mean, there is Weird Al, and I have also rewritten songs myself. So it's like, you know, there you go.
Yep.
I could see myself doing that. But, like, it's just funny, like, at the time, it was like, oh, yeah, we're doing this, and that's great and normal and everything. But, like, now I look back and I'm like, so which culture was that for?
Yeah.
Like, was that to honor Japanese culture? Was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, so.
It is a little suspect.
I know. I need to, like, ask other people who went on the trip or ask someone who knows Japanese culture or, like, something and be like, does this sound at all okay? Like,
Well, but cultural norms also shift over time.
Uh-huh.
So that's also, I think, it's difficult when you take a current perspective and look back on the past.
Yeah.
To be able to know what was it like in the moment. as opposed to if this were to happen now, what would it be like? Because in a lot of ways, I feel, and I don't know anything about Japanese culture, so I cannot speak in any sort of authority about what that culture either is currently or used to be. But I know that in American culture, we have gotten much more sensitive. So there are a lot of things that bother people a lot more easily now than it used to. Now, we can get into lots of different debates and discussions about some of that stuff, about like, well, maybe it should have bothered us then and it didn't. And that may be true. But regardless, like so maybe at the time it wasn't something that seemed odd or seemed weird. Maybe it should have, but maybe it didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, or was it like, oh, that's cool that they like learned about sumo and like learned some of the names of the famous sumo wrestlers? Like, wow, that's great. Or was that just like, that's cool if these Americans think that's fun. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a funny thought, but that's a very good point. Yeah. And I mean, it's like we did the peace sign in all the pictures because the students we were staying with, they did that in all the pictures. And so we were like, okay, we can do this too, you know, and even the adults would do that. And so there were things like that were like, I think trying to be a part of the culture there and everything. And so that's just an odd piece. We had to learn a speech in Japanese, each of us, and like introduce ourselves. It was 3 sentences long, but it was a speech.
Sure.
And so, yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I just thought of my next thing that I'm going to share.
Tell me you were 4 or something like that.
No, sorry. I was older.
Okay.
This was in 2009. And again, recognizing that cultures are different. Okay.
This is a good theme.
Well, yeah, I'm going to share it anyway. So I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I have been to Central Europe several different times, to both Slovenia and Croatia, to help run some English camps. And they speak English over there. They take English classes since elementary school. So it's not so much that when I say teach English, it's not like they don't know any English. It's high school students. And it's more to give them practice with native speakers.
Cool.
And to get some of the more conversational and kind of the subtlety, and to have practice with the English and some of the pronunciation and things like that. Well, part of what they would often do at these camps is in the evening, every evening, and Cheryl, you would love this, they had something that they called late night. Every night had a theme. And so there were events and things all around all these different themes. So one of the late nights, I don't know if it was the first year that I went or the second year that I went. No, I think it was a couple years in. So they asked us to go ahead and run one of the late nights because they had run most of them. Then they asked our team to run it. And we did, we'd done a couple of different ones, but we were there on the 4th of July. And so they asked us to do an America night. So it was all themed around America. Yes. And so like we did all of the stereotypical things, and red, white, and blue, everything. And there were Uncle Sam, and I mean, it was like doing songs about the United States. So Born in the USA. And we all sang the Star Spangled Banner. And I mean, it was just like, think of the stereotypical worst tourist American obnoxiousness, and that's what we did. But that was like the point. And so it was kind of like we were making fun of ourselves because we recognized that was like over the top and ridiculous.
And not you normally.
Definitely not normally. But it was kind of funny to do the to intentionally like lean into those stereotypes. And I mean, the students, they thought it was hilarious. They loved it. One of the activities, and this is embarrassed. Well, it's only sort of embarrassing. One of the activities, like there's all these different like games and they would compete and do different things. One of the things they had to do was we had a map of the United States and they had to name the states and the capitals. I can't do that. I've never in my life been able to name all the states and all. I can't even name all the states,
grade.
let alone the states and the capitals. Never in my life have I been able to do that.
Yeah, 5th grade I had to do states and capitals.
Like I can do the West Coast.
I bet I could get a solid C on states.
Ooh, I don't know.
would fail capitals.
Basically,
now I want to play that game sometime.
My geography is if I've been there or I know someone who's lived there, I know where it is. Otherwise, I pretty much. I mean, there's certain things that like West Virginia is kind of like easy because it's a really unique shape.
Sure.
But you put me on the East Coast over there, I'm like, I've never lived on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty much anything like once you get across the Rockies, it's rocky for me. Like I could do like Colorado, Nevada, Wisconsin, probably New Mexico. I could do Texas and Louisiana because that shape is, and Florida. You know, like there's certain ones that I could do, but don't like the Midwest. Like I could tell you, well, I know that the states in this region are these states, but which one's which? I don't know for sure.
I want to start with just doing the state listing game.
Yeah.
You just list them and then move up to the geography one. And now I want to do both of those as a challenge. Wait,
okay.
but were they good at that game? I didn't hear the end of that part.
They were better at it than I thought they should have been.
Really?
Seeing as they didn't live there.
Yeah.
So,
oh, man. Okay, so I have 3 stories, and I have to decide a direction that we want to take this at this point.
How about a new direction?
I mean, yes. Okay. So, because I had one based on... Okay, so one of the stories I'm not going to tell because on...
But you're not going to tell, but you're going to tell it anyway?
Because I already told it on this podcast.
Okay.
So if listeners want to hear about when I had Thanksgiving in London, they can go back and listen to Jennifer Stillman's episode about her time studying abroad in London.
Yeah.
So there you go. Check it out. Okay, so I'm going to take it in the 4th of July direction.
Okay.
And actually, so this was the trip I went to Morocco on. It was in 2009. And a couple years before that, on the 4th of July, one time I was in Seattle watching the big firework thing and noticed some airplanes flying overhead. And I was like...
At night?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, how fun would it be to be on an airplane on the 4th of July and like look down and see the fireworks? And I was like, that just sounds magical. And so then we're getting ready to go to Morocco and we're leaving on July 4th. And at the time of day we were leaving LA, I realized that we were going to be around the East Coast area at nighttime. And I was like, oh, the dream is coming true. And so I was so excited to be on an airplane on the 4th of July and get to look down, maybe over New York, I don't know, and get to see the fireworks. And I was all excited about that. And on that plane ride, I stayed. Sometimes I sleep on planes. Sometimes I can like pass out on planes. And then sometimes I just kind of like stay awake but zone out and watch movies and stuff like that, or listen to podcasts. So this one, I was sitting next to someone else who was on the trip, and he and I became like the best of friends on this plane ride, and we talked like the whole plane ride, which was very fun. And so I was all excited. And, on the planes with the screens, you can look at the map and see where you are, which I enjoy a lot. That's really fun. That's the time when I like to brush up on my geography a little bit, actually. It's like, let's check out a map. So we did not see any fireworks. Do you know why we didn't see any fireworks?
Because you were super distracted by your conversation and forgot to look.
No, although that is a valid guess.
Because it was cloudy.
Nope. Think about a plane that would go from LA. It landed in Paris. Think about the trajectory of that plane ride.
Uh-huh.
We were so far north. We weren't anywhere close to the East Coast. We're over like, I don't know, Iceland. I mean, just like it did a big old arc.
Yeah, it was a polar route.
Yeah. So there's this is a very, I don't know if this is a good story or not because it was all exciting and then it ended in nothingness. But so I still have not seen fireworks from an airplane.
Oh. I'm sorry.
You're welcome for that anticlimactic story.
Wait, that's the whole story?
Yes.
Therefore I did not see fireworks from an airplane.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So you mentioned flying over Iceland, which of course makes me think of Iceland, which I went to almost a year ago.
We know.
Okay, fine. I won't talk about Iceland then. I'll talk about Greenland.
Oh, wait, you went to Greenland?
No.
Oh.
But I've flown over it a bunch of times.
Really?
Yeah.
I probably have too. I just didn't, I don't know, I just saw land.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing about flying over Greenland, because I've flown over Greenland a bunch of times. Because living in Seattle, that polar route you were describing is the most direct route to Europe, because the Earth is round. If you think the Earth is flat, you are wrong.
Yep.
The Earth is, well, technically it's an oblate spheroid, but it's round. And so just get a globe sometime and get a piece of string and try to connect it from, let's say, London to Seattle and figure out which one is the shortest distance. And you'll find it actually goes up and around as opposed to going straight, what we would think of as straight across because of the curvature of the Earth. Anyway, so you often fly up and over Canada, kind of around Hudson Bay area, and then kind of come down across Greenland, sometimes directly over Iceland, although I think more often it's over the water near Iceland as opposed to actually Iceland itself. But the thing that I've been amazed with Greenland is how not it is. Like anytime I've been flying over Greenland and if a window on the plane is open and I look out, it literally just looks like an ocean of white. And it's not clouds. It's just covered in snow. But it's not like, oh, look, there's rolling hills of snow. No, flat snow as far as you can see. And you're in a plane at like 30,000 feet. So that's really far.
Wow. Is that why I never noticed it?
Probably.
Because I'm like, I don't know.
And then this last year, flying home from Iceland, I actually was able, we looked as we flew over the coast of Greenland, and for the first time, and I've flown over Greenland a whole bunch of times at this point, for the very first time, I actually saw something other than snow with Greenland. There were actually some mountains, and I was so amazed that, and I don't think I was sitting at a window seat, but I think I knew the person who was, so I like handed him my phone. I was like, can you take pictures of that? Because I need pictures that Greenland is not just ice and snow just flat all the way across, because there's actually mountains. And then it didn't take very long for us flying across it, and then it was. The rest of it was just flat and nothing.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. So are you like a Greenland truther or something? Like you don't...
A Greenland truther.
Wait, would that mean that you do or you don't believe in Greenland?
I do believe in Greenland. I don't believe that it has very much of interest.
Okay. So when we say we want to go everywhere...
Maybe not everywhere.
Maybe not everywhere. I don't know if I really do like want to go to like the North or South Poles either. So
I want to go to Antarctica. You want to go to Antarctica? There's penguins.
Oh, no, I want to go to Antarctica. I don't know if I want to go to the South Pole.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So like,
yeah, no, I don't need to be actually at the pole.
Yeah, I definitely want to go to Antarctica.
Yeah, me too.
Very much so. Penguins. And I'd really want to do all 7 continents, you know?
Yeah.
It's got to happen. Okay, well, thinking about looking out those plane windows. We're solid in the middle of what we saw out of an airplane window. Ooh, so are you going to try to be in an airplane like during an eclipse at some point then? Is that a goal of yours?
See, that was another thing that I was thinking about talking about when you said that you were in a plane and did not see an eclipse. I could talk about me not seeing an eclipse from a plane.
Oh.
Because actually this last eclipse in whatever the year was, 2017, in August. There were a couple of different things where you could they were doing a lottery to actually be in a plane. And I definitely entered it.
Ooh.
And I definitely did win it. But that's okay because I still had a great eclipse.
So
experience.
you did not see an eclipse from a plane because you were not in the plane in the first place then.
Correct.
Got it. Yeah.
I was on the ground.
Yeah. So I think one of my favorite I'm not a geography nerd.
Uh-huh.
I just am not good at geography, but I do think it's interesting when I learn things about geography now. And I spend a lot of time looking at maps now because I'm so bad at geography that I feel like it's necessary. If I move somewhere new, I'll look at maps of the area. Or if I'm going to travel somewhere, I spend a lot of time looking at maps of the place I'm going to go to. And when I'm dreaming about travel, I look at how far is Prague from Vienna anyway, or whatever.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so that I guess I do map looking in that way. I think maps are interesting. So I had such a fun moment when I got to see where Spain and I guess where Europe and Africa are. I mean, it's Spain and Morocco, but I got to see that from an airplane and recognize the shape of the top of Africa and the shape of the bottom of Europe and be I know that shape from a map and now I'm looking at it in real life and I got really nerdy about it and took a bunch of pictures because I was just but I know that thing and it's there in front, you know what I mean? And it almost felt like when you see a picture of the Eiffel Tower and then see it in person for the first time, but with the shape of land. And it was a very cool moment. Build off of that, Ryan. I did not give you much to work with.
Hey,
there.
I'm going to though. I'm gonna build off of the fact that you mentioned the Eiffel Tower. So you set me up for that one. Thanks. But what I'm gonna say about the Eiffel Tower, so it was actually 10 years ago when I was in France. So I went with my best friend, who Ben, and we went with, it was a group of students. So I went with another teacher. She led the trip, and I kind of co-led the trip. And it was students from school. And we went to France, my first time in France. And the Eiffel Tower is cool, for the record. But the thing that I find funny is you mentioned the Eiffel Tower, and then I pictured a picture that I took of myself in front of the Eiffel Tower. So a selfie. But this was 2009. Selfies hadn't been named yet.
But boy, was I taking them with my digital camera.
Well, and here's the thing. Both of my sisters did. And so on this trip, and I had a digital camera. It wasn't a phone. There was nothing that you could I didn't have anything that flipped around. It was literally taking the camera, turning it around, pointing at yourself, and then looking to see, hey, did it turn out? Because it was digital, but it wasn't like you could see it. And so I was taking what we now call selfies in different places throughout France, but I did it to make fun of my sisters because that was something that they did before it was really a thing. And so I have selfies of me in France, one with the Eiffel Tower in the background, a very typical spot, overlooking where the Eiffel Tower is and the green grass yard thing. I'm sure it has a name, but I don't remember.
The green grassy yard thing is correct.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So because when I was in France, I was taking selfies before selfies were a thing, but I was doing it to make fun. Not because
and
I was
you were in
doing
France
it.
before France was a thing. And
not quite.
Before the Eiffel Tower was even famous.
Yeah, definitely.
And you were there
not.
for the invention of crepes too, I think.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
No, I was not. But there was a little crepe stand in the same area where I was, where I took that selfie though.
Aww. Yay, that's fun. Okay, now which direction do I want to take this? Ooh, here we go.
Okay.
This actually... Wait, do we just wait until we can tell the original story again? Because this might also have to do with cultural sensitivity a little bit. But
Uh-oh.
If we can loop to loop here. I don't know if it... Okay, so the lovely Jennifer Stillman, who I mentioned before.
Right,
went
from
to
episode
London.
9.
Thank you, episode 9. So I got to visit her. I was a senior in college. She was a junior. And I got to visit her over Thanksgiving. And I was there for like almost a week. It was very
In
cool.
London.
In London. Yep. And so we were like 20 or 21 years old. Just keep that in mind.
Very mature.
Super mature. Yeah. Friends who hadn't seen each other for a couple months and like were very, I mean, like she was my friend who I did Weird Al songs with.
Were you roommates at any point in time?
No, but we were in student government at our school, and we were dorm senators of the same dorm.
Okay.
And so in order to get people to come to our meetings that we had to hold with our constituents, we would rewrite songs about our school and perform them at these meetings to get people to come.
You would rewrite a song about a school and perform it. Like YMCA? Potentially? You never made that connection before, did you?
No!
Apparently that 7th grade trip had a lasting impression on your life.
Oh my gosh, it did. Oh, wow. This is like a revelation in my life right now. Oh, my goodness. What? Oh, that's hilarious. We even did, our school is Biola, and we wrote, "Hey there, Biola," instead of "Hey there, Delilah." Oh, yikes. Oh,
yeah.
How did, out of all the things in my life I could have shared, why did both of those happen?
I don't know.
In this episode, this is insane. Anyway, so that's the type of friend Jen and I were. We were just like crazy kids. We'd go to Disneyland and start dance parties at the Tomorrowland stage, even though no one else was dancing. And like, I mean, you know, we had fun times. So I visited her in London for a week. I brought my digital SLR camera.
Way fancier than me.
It had a fun little rapid fire feature.
Yeah.
Just go click, 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 click. And so what we did is we put together, I made a video of my trip visiting her, and it was all these like rapid fire scenes. So it was kind of like video, but with no sound, because I would just take like 50 photos in a row and then throw them all in the video. So it just looked like choppy video, I guess. Yeah. But at the time, I thought it was a very cool effect that I was doing. But we like, with some of our other friends at Disneyland, one time we came up with a dance called the punctuation dance, where we did dance moves that looked like pieces of punctuation. And we did that, like, I believe in front of Westminster in London.
Oh.
Uh-huh. And then, like, I was chasing a squirrel in a park at one point. I mean, we're just, like, doing ridiculous things in public, essentially.
Oh. Okay.
This is probably still on YouTube, to think of it, actually.
Oh, jeez.
And I might be. I mean, I'll have to see. Anyway, we had a ball. We had a great
I'll bet you
time.
did.
And the strangers around us had varying levels of entertainment, probably. And I look back. Oh, we were on the underground, and I like tried to use that you know, the handrail that's above you that you can hold, like, for balance.
Okay.
Tried to use it like a jungle gym bar and get my legs up on it.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, just like things
in
that
London
now...
with the British.
Yes.
They're very like formal and
and we did those things.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of ridiculous in public places in London, and like nothing crazy, but still just things were like, I would never do that now. You know, I'd be like, that's rude, you know? And so, I mean, maybe in the States I would. But again, for a video, I might, because like for a funny video, I'll do a lot of things. But like, I look back on that and I'm like, 10 years ago, Cheryl. Look at her go.
Woo! Wow.
I gave you a lot there.
You did give me a lot. I don't know that I can do much with I don't know that I've done much internationally for a video. However, one thing that is sort of video related and connected to London. So I've been to London twice. The first time was right after I graduated from high school. So me and my cousin, who's 3 months younger than I, we both graduated the same year from high school. And my aunt and uncle were actually living and working in England at the time. And so for graduation, we got flown out to go visit them. They weren't living in London, but they met us in London. So we got to do some stuff in London. And then we went up to their place.
Fun.
It was very cool. But so our hotel while we were in London was in Piccadilly Square, Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Yeah.
And it's like there was a whole bunch of stuff just kind of all right there, which was really cool. But we came back from, I don't remember where we were. We were out touring stuff. And we came back one late there afternoon or evening. And there was tons of people in Piccadilly Square. And there were like cops with like bright yellow things on the little cop cone hat things and stuff like that. And we couldn't really figure out what was going on. And I don't remember if we asked somebody or what, but come to find out that at least the British, if not the European premiere of Mission Impossible 2 was happening that afternoon. And so or that evening or whatever. And so all these people were gathered to see some of the stars who had come. So we went back up to our room, which looked out, it had a window that looked out onto the Piccadilly Square. And so we were trying to look and see. And eventually we ended up grabbing a trash can from our room, going back down so that we could stand on the trash can so we could see above people. And we saw Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Because Tom
That's
Cruise was
cool.
in the movie. Right, because it's one of the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
I don't know why Russell Crowe was there.
I mean, he's a bro. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's a bro.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
But we not like we went up and like shook their hand or got their autograph or anything, but we saw them like they were like right there.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And I just remember how short Tom Cruise was. But it was just this random fluke. Like we didn't know that. It's just because that's where we were at the right time, at the right place.
Oh, funny.
And it was also funny because I had already seen the movie. The movie had already come out here. The movie had already come out here, but hadn't premiered there yet. And so when I saw, because the movie theater was there, and we ended up seeing some other movie there at one point, but I remember seeing they were advertising for Mission Impossible 2, which seemed fine because it had come out like that summer, but I didn't realize it hadn't actually opened there yet.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was interesting. So.
Oh, man.
There's a memory for you. Travel story.
Oh, what do I do with that? Gosh. Okay, I don't know how to tie in a story, so I think we might have found our end to this little.
That may be it for this
little train of thought game. Yep. But we might have to revisit this game some other time, or bring in a guest. That could be fun too.
Yes, I think having another person and having them throw their stories into that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a fun one. I enjoyed that.
Good.
We kept it going.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've kind of wrapped up our game here, we're going to move back to something that we normally do, which is Wish You Were Here. And I know that you've just been listening to both of us talk for a very long time, but we're going to talk a little bit more. This time, it's not going to be a random thing, but something we actually have planned to share about. So Wish You Were Here, think of it kind of like a little postcard where it's like, hey, here's a little snapshot of one travel attraction, one place that we have been or seen that we would recommend that people go to and visit if they have the chance. So, Cheryl, why don't you start?
All right. So this last weekend, I went on a really quick trip to Los Angeles to visit one of my best friends, Beth, who will be on future episodes, I'm sure.
Yep.
And we did, I think everything we did was new for me.
Ooh.
Which was so fun.
Because you lived in LA for a while.
I lived in LA. I went to school down there, and I've gone back a number of times to visit various family and friends. And so it was so fun to do something new. So actually, one of the things we did, she is going to share about on a future episode of this show. And,
oh, okay.
Which little peek behind the window, we already recorded it, and the reason we went there was because she shared about it on this podcast, and then I said, can we please go there? So that was really fun. So anyway, Beth's future wish you were here. I have good things to say about it. But what I want to share about today is we went on Angel's Flight. Do you know what Angel's Flight is?
Either you got to have wings or something about the baseball team.
Oh, is it? Oh, dang it. Is it about the base? I hope it's not about the baseball team.
I don't know.
Because aren't they from LA?
I thought so.
Okay, well, I don't know. I hope it's not about the Angels. Anyway, so it is a little railway in downtown Los Angeles that is like maybe a block or two long, and it goes up a hill. And so it looks like, it almost looks like it just looks like a singular train car that is like on a 45-degree angle maybe, or something crazy. I don't know if it's 45 degrees. That sounds like a really steep angle.
Okay.
It's on a steep hill, and you pay $1, and you get on it, and it just goes to the top of the hill, and then it lets you off.
Okay.
Oh, it's a funicular.
I was going to say, it sounds like a funicular, which you didn't understand when we first were describing that with Sarah when she was describing it.
That's right. It's a funicular.
Hey, now you know what a funicular is.
Yeah, because I went on one, and it's from 1901.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's open a lot. It's open all the time.
It's open a lot.
I'm looking at their website. It's open from 6:45 a.m. to 10 p.m. So that's pretty fun. And apparently if you pay $2, you get a souvenir round trip ticket as a piece of history that you can take home with you. I did not do that.
Like that you could scrapbook? Is that the idea?
I guess so. I don't know. Do people scrapbook anymore?
Probably.
But yeah, it goes up. It's located at the California Plaza, and it's also near the Grand Central Market. It goes along a park, and it's the park that is in the end of the movie 500 Days of Summer. So that's really fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So. And it's just adorable and a really cute little experience.
So I have a sort of dumb question.
Yes.
Is there anything at the top of the hill that people should care about for why you would want to ride this thing? Or is it just the experience of riding it because it's historic and cute and all
we
that?
only took it one way because we actually were heading that direction.
Okay.
So there actually was something like useful about it. Here, I'll show you a picture of it.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, that's definitely a funicular.
Okay, it's a funicular. And it goes past this pretty park right here.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that was all fun. So actually, I guess it was semi-useful for us because it helped us head the direction we were heading. So that was nice. At the top of it was a really pretty area that I was like, how do I get married in this area? Because there was like an amphitheater. And then at the bottom of the amphitheater was like man-made little, like, I don't know if pond is the right word, if it's man-made, and then there were like these lily pad shaped pieces in there that these kids were jumping to, and it was very adorable.
Cool.
So that was all fun. I'm guessing it looks like that might be like a concert space in the summer or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right, because it looks like there's area for like lighting and stuff like that too. And then
cool.
So, I mean, it was a cool area of downtown that I had never been to before. So that was really fun. But yeah, Angel's Flight for $1.
$1 one way, $1 return.
Yes. Is that a round trip price?
I don't know, because you said $2 and you get the souvenir.
Each way is $1.
Okay.
If you're taking it, you pay at the top. So you just get on.
Oh.
But then when you get off, you pay.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you pay at the top if you're going down too. So
Probably.
Just don't be confused. I felt like I was cheating when I got on it.
Yeah.
But I was not cheating. So we're good.
Okay. Good for you.
Angel's Flight.
Angel's Flight.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
So I'm also going to do a domestic one. This one is in Florida. So Universal Studios. And I know that they have a Universal Studios in LA. I've never been there. But there's Universal Studios in Florida. But there's kind of like a two parts. There's the Universal Studios, but then they also have an additional part, which is called the Islands of Adventure.
Ooh.
And at least in Florida, that's where they now have their Harry Potter. That's one of the islands.
Harry Potter.
Now, I've not been there because it was a long time ago. It was 2004 when I was there. And Harry Potter, while it was the books were definitely popular. I don't remember when the movies started coming out or not. I think we had maybe had one or two movies by then, but definitely there was no Harry Potter land yet. But one of the islands that I am a huge fan of and I loved and would strongly recommend is the Dr. Seuss Island.
Oh, Dr. Seuss.
It's amazing because it literally is like walking into a Dr. Seuss book, because all of the buildings, all of the streets, all of the signs, everything is in the Dr. Seuss style.
Oh, that's so magical.
It's really, really cool. And I mean, I'm a big Dr. Seuss fan. I don't know if necessarily buff is necessarily the word, but I enjoy a lot of things about Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
And so there were lots of things there that I saw that I recognized. Some things that I think everybody would recognize. For example, the Lorax. So I got my picture next to the Lorax and the truffula trees. But even like some things like one of their like concessions place, it was Moose Juice and Goose Juice, which is from Hunches and Bunches. And so there were a lot of like little things like that, or like Sergeant Mulvaney from And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. And so he's there and you can like get your picture taken with him. And it's really, really fun and whimsical and just like it should be. And like you would expect with Dr. Seuss. And so if you have any enjoyment of Dr. Seuss at all, that right there, I mean, the rest of it is really cool too. Like the other islands. And of course now since Harry Potter Island is there, I'm assuming that that's also really cool. But definitely
Harry
like
Potter.
Dr. Seuss Island at Universal's Island of Adventure, very cool. I would definitely recommend it.
That's so fun. Can I add a detail even though I haven't been there?
Sure.
Because one time you told me about it and you said that someone had trivia.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share about that?
Well, now I have to remember. Again, this was a long time ago. So, yeah, there was someone who was doing... It was like a person... I don't know if he was dressed up as a character. I don't remember, but it was definitely somebody who worked there. And they were doing trivia questions, but I'm pretty sure it was about the Grinch. And... Okay. Arguably, The Grinch may be my favorite Dr. Seuss story. I love The Grinch. I know lots of things about The Grinch. And so there were a number of trivia questions that I knew and nobody else knew. Is that what you're wanting me to share?
Yes.
Because, yeah, it was like, oh, who's the person who does this? And I was like, oh, that. And actually, I think one of the guys I got his name wrong because I mixed two of them up. But then it was like, well, what else is he known for? I was like, oh, that's the guy who was Tony the Tiger for Frosted Flakes.
Oh, who sang the song? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think I knew because I feel like my parents have some weird connection to that guy or something like that. But
And then like Boris Karloff is the one who reads the story, and he was like Dracula in like the old school like Dracula movies, and so like there's all of these other connections and things that I just have learned over the years because I love Dr. Seuss and I love that. And so yeah, he was asking trivia, and I don't know if I knew all of them, but I knew more than anybody else around me.
I'm guessing it was not designed for people to easily know all the answers.
Probably
so
not.
Maybe the guy was like, "Oh, we found a nerd here. Cool."
Yep.
Oh, wow. How fun. I need to go there. I wish I was there.
Well, someday. Okay, well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. We would love it if you would follow us on social media. We are at TimWee Podcast. That's TMWY for Take Me With You Podcast on all the different social medias. We'd love for you to send us messages, tag us, post pictures of your trips and travels. You can tell us that you wish that we were there with you. Any of those things, we would love to hear from you.
That's right. We also want to hear from you through email. We would love if you send us an email, tell us a travel story or maybe one of our stories. I don't know.
Or a better game to play next time.
There you go. We would love to hear that. You can send us travel questions, guests that you have, and all of those things can be sent to timweepodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. You can also call us and leave us a voicemail if you wanted to ask us your question instead of typing it, and we would love to hear your voice. So our phone number is 406-763-8699, or you could think of it as 406-POD-TIMWEE. Please also rate and review us on iTunes and anything else that you may be listening to us on so that more people can hear the wonderful travel stories that our guests share with us.
Also, thank you so much to Beth Morrell for our awesome artwork. We love it. You should check more of her artwork out at Beth Is Something.
Wonderful. So that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. So until next time, remember to take me with you.